all of us have been waiting for. We are absolutely delighted as we have the Honorable Minister of State Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Parliamentary Affairs, Government of India, Shri Rajiv Pratap Rudy ji with us. May I request you, sir, to please share your thoughts with us and say a few words at this very special occasion. Welcome.
Thank you, Sonali. Mr. Ran, Gaurav, Ritu, all the distinguished guests present here. Well, I'm seeing myself on the cover now, and I regret it was just a 3-minute shoot. And I wish I had spent more time with Ritu, because I just gave her exactly 3 minutes and said, I'm at work, do it right away. And I was limping because I had hurt my knees in Seychelles 3 days before that. You should have guided me better, because I would have worked better to spend more time to look, I don't know how it is, but I could have spent some more time because this was a very important event for you. But nonetheless, I did a lot of homework after that. And when I got messages from Mumbai and other places, wow, great to see you on the face, then I thought this magazine is something which needs to be studied well. And thank you very much. But you see, why I am here is something which possibly I've been, last 6 months, the Government of India today has a ministry called the Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Ministry. Well, it's a new ministry. When I took over this ministry, because this is not my forte, I have been in civil aviation, I have been in commerce, and this possibly was one area. When I began, it didn't like being in a Government of India, a country with 1,260 million people. And when you start, you don't have an office to start, but you are sworn in a cabinet. And when I had all my colleagues on the stage, they had institutions with them, they had ministries with them, which have been in existence for the last 67 years. I was just 6 days old. But one thing I was aware that, because when the new government came in, this was a department under the Ministries of Youth Affairs and Sports. And subsequently, 7 months later, the Prime Minister decided to create a Ministry for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And I just wonder what made the Prime Minister do a thing which possibly did not exist for the last 67 years. And when I look back, and when I keep talking to him, I don't know how many people get an opportunity to. He said to me, I know you would be disappointed that you have to build everything from a scratch. It's a new ministry. But he said that if one ministry in my lifetime, I would have liked to become a minister, even as a prime minister, would have been the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And this is his passion. I just spent an hour with him this evening discussing certain things about some issues about the airport. And the man who is the Prime Minister should be called the first entrepreneur in this country, because he actually thinks like that. He actually speaks like that. And when you sit with him in private moments, I recently had an exhibition on the launch of on the 15th of this month, we had the major launch of the skill mission. We had the skill policy, the cabinet approved the skill mission. And he was supposed to do it in the Vigyan Bhavan. So prior to the function, I was supposed to receive him. So we had some exhibition on sites. And the Safe Express group, I don't know that anyone knows that lady and that group, Safe Express, and there is a daughter-in-law in the family who runs a organization called Safe Educate, which is a group which does training and teaching on logistics, training youngsters there. And the first thing which I drew the Prime Minister to was a container. That containers, there are about 17 million containers across the world, and about 5% get scrapped every year. Now this particular lady, this 40 feet long and 8 feet wide containers, because for last 8 months I was struggling that I cannot make any more buildings in this country. If I start making buildings in this country, And then I start of thinking of opening shops or places for skills, especially in rural areas. I will not even start in the next 4 years. By the time I put a contractor, by the time I put the tender, it will never happen. So I was struggling with this idea, how do I make it fast? The Prime Minister walks in, these scrapped, these useless containers, which is 40 feet long, on ships and trucks. When it is declared as useless, the lady has converted them into classrooms. And you put 4 of them together, they are one of the finest classrooms which I have ever seen in my life. And that innovation possibly, and today we have decided to have 250, because you put 4 of these containers, these are air-conditioned containers with fans, which more than 30 to 40 students sitting inside each container. These containers have reception, they have toilets, they have bunkers for students, for hostel, and I can create a skill center overnight in almost 540 parliamentary constituencies in the next 6 months. Now, this is innovation. The cost of each container is 6.5 lakh rupees. Where do you construct this world-class, durable structure of scrapped containers? And I said, this is entrepreneurship, this is innovation. There was a solution. I was struggling for last 7 months. I was just going through some of those articles, and I read one of them, because now the ministry gets me, because I've been focusing more on skills now. 400 million people in this country to be skilled, possibly. And when nothing happens unless into skill. And some of the visuals which I was having here was of skills. Of course, you club entrepreneurship with that, and further you proceed further. Now, why does the Prime Minister think we need to have skills in this country? What has prompted him to take this decision? And if I have to rattle out some figures, it will shock most of us here sitting here. China, which has a population of around 1.5 billion people, has about 45% of the workforce which is skilled. The United Kingdom has about 68% of the workforce which is skilled. We proceed further. Germany, 74% of the workforce is skilled. Japan, 80% of the workforce is skilled. Korea, 96% of the workforce is skilled. And India, we just have 3.5% workforce which is skilled. And this is what we are talking in this country today. And if this is the workforce which we are talking, it's one of the most enormous challenges. Because last 67 years, this country has spent all its money and resources on education. I don't want to say that education is not good. But today, 17% of the engineering graduates in this country are not employable. 15% of the business graduates in this country are not employable. So education is very, very important. I do not deny this fact. But maybe 12 years of school education cannot give you employment, but 12 weeks of training can make you employable, and that is the whole idea. And this is what we are talking about. We have been talking about aspirationally about degrees and universities and everything. I don't mind. I think this, I know of a small-time businessman who has started importing gymnastic machines, some treadmills, some cross trainers from China. Now, he's based somewhere in Ludhiana. And there are prosperous villages in Himachal Pradesh where people wanted to get these machines in Himachal Pradesh. The cost of an individual machine could have been around 25,000 to 30,000. But the cost of transporting them from Ludhiana to a place in Himachal Pradesh would have been another 10 to 15,000 rupees. So what he does, he goes to the nearest bus stand, where Himachal Road Transport Corporation bus ply from X destination to places in Himachal Pradesh. He goes and talks to the conductor and whoever, the person who are selling the tickets. He says, if I buy a ticket, can you carry my load? They said, of course, we are more than happy. You buy a ticket and we'll carry your luggage. So he buys 2 tickets for 1 luggage, spends 160 rupees or 320 rupees, makes a receipt, takes a photo on a WhatsApp, sends it to the customer in Himachal Pradesh. The gentleman comes with that photo to the bus conductor and picks up his machine in 200 rupees additionally. And that's an innovation, that's an entrepreneurship. Well, it's almost everywhere, sitting in this room, beyond this room, outside this room, and I can tell you, and maybe after 6 months, I will share a because I said as a minister, I've also been doing many more things like this, because apart from flying big planes and possibly doing all what is there in skills, well, not many people would still accept that I'm the only parliamentarian on the globe who actually flies big planes, and being a captain with Indigo Airlines as late as November. I can say that there's a lot of innovations which can take place. So if I have to look into, I have a lot of statistics to tell you that we stand nowhere. We stand nowhere. But we look up to you, angel investors, other investors, startups. We all look up to you. And I still remember I was recently in Israel. And this country was phenomenal, with a population of around 8 to 9 million people, what they have done in innovations. If you look at the NASDAQ, the stock exchange, maybe out of the 100 listed companies, first 20 could be of that of Israeli origin. A professor who walks up to us in a classroom, takes a class for 2 hours and puts a small pellet on my table. And we say, sir, what's it? He said, this is my innovation. He's worked with the Israeli army. He sits there and he puts a pellet there. There's a bright shining capsule. He said, what do you do with that? He says, you gulp it and you know the result. So he says, now this is a technology where a capsule, which if you take in, it gets into your system, it travels all around, and everywhere it is passing by, it is taking photographs inside your intestine, and the whole picture is coming on a screen outside, and you pass it out. Now this man has created that. He has created a camera in a capsule which goes through your whole system, and photographs are given outside your. So the innovations could be plenty. And everything which you see is an innovation, and any innovation has an entrepreneur behind it. I am a political entrepreneur because I have the state of Bihar to contest after 4 months. So, and the person I contest and win elections is Lalu Prasad Yadav, so you will understand I'm the best entrepreneur you see. So I have many more challenges. Please do not get into what I speak or what I wear. I'm a hardcore politician, but I'm still straddled with the challenge of putting up this ministry. I'm still in the stage of learning, and I think Maria has promised me to give me a regular subscription of this magazine, and because I need to write, and I need to read and write things, because I need to understand much more. But thank you, Maria. I did not know your interest. You are from my university in Punjab University, Chandigarh. That is an association which I found out. I wish I had met you earlier, but I passed out much earlier, and I'm sure you met her later. So thank you very much, and it's a great occasion, and I understand, but it's a learning process for me. I've never been in this field, but it excites me. It excites me to meet people who talk about entrepreneurship. It excites me to talk about people who would create things for the nation. And when you're talking about a country with 1,260 million people, and between India and China, every fifth and the sixth man who's trotting on the globe is an Indian or a Chinese. So that is where we stand. So I'm sure in times to come, as the Prime Minister did announce, if China is a manufacturing hub, India would become a human capital, human resource for the world. And if that we have to become, we have to scale up our entrepreneurship abilities, and that is what we hope. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be, and I again say, if you would have told me this is where I am going to be, I would have posed better. Thank you very much. Good day.